Ciao everyone, welcome to this class. This is a no-wrist Vinyasa flow for beginners. We start sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on a block. You don't need to use a block, you can sit on a pillow or maybe directly with your sit bones on the floor. Keep your legs crossed. If it's not fine for you, you can always extend the legs. Try to keep your spine nice and straight in a neutral position. Maybe releasing your hands on your legs, or maybe taking the Buddha mudra with the right hand on the bottom, the left one on top, thumbs together, hands resting on your lap. If it's okay for you, close your eyes, otherwise keep a soft, relaxed gaze on the floor in front of you. And let's take a moment just to fully arrive on our yoga spot, not only with the body, but with the mind as well. Bringing our awareness on the inner landscape of our body. Notice those areas of your body that are in contact with the floor beneath. Your feet, the legs, the sit bones. Grounding yourself in the present moment. Acknowledging the distractions of the mind, and then choosing to stepping back from those ruminations of the mind and finding your way back to your own body. This month is dedicated to self-inquiry or self-awareness, vichara in Sanskrit. The process starts with recognizing those thoughts that start with I am, and then peeling off all those layers that we attributed to ourselves, or maybe the society put on ourselves. In the past, I often have these thoughts about myself. I am impatient. I don't have passions. And then I actually discover through this self-inquiry or self-awareness process that indeed I do have a lot of patience. I took a deeper look on my job, the way that I was interacting with my clients when I was working as a lawyer, and then the way that I was interacting with my friends in my daily life. And despite the fact that I called myself impatient for so long, I discovered that I do have a lot of patience. So I peeled off that layer. And I got to know myself a bit better. This process of peeling off and inquiring oneself doesn't really end. It's more of a lifetime process, lifetime journey. I think there is a beauty in that. And eventually we recognize that we are never really alone. We are more interconnected or interbeing with others and with the planet. Give it a try on your own for the next few seconds to notice if there are any thoughts or memories or fantasies that start with I am. Recognizing those labels that you put on yourself. And then leave the method aside and join your palms in front of your heart in namaste. Noticing your own breath. And setting your intention for the practice today. Perhaps we can set a common intention for the class. To practice self-awareness and notice the thoughts that arise in our mind throughout the practice, choosing to stepping back and coming back to the soma, to the body, to our breath. If you like, join me for one Om. Inhaling. As a gesture of respect, let's bow in front of ourselves to start. Then slowly open your eyes, release your hands. We start with some neck movement. We do some circles with our neck. So choose one direction and proceed slowly, noticing this area of your body between the ears and the shoulders. Noticing if there are any physical sensations. And then reverse the direction of your circle. Acknowledge if you are creating tension in your face, sometimes in the jawbone line, maybe squeezing the teeth, or maybe on the forehead. And see if you can release those tensions just a bit. Coming back toward the center. If you're sitting on a block, please release the support. Placing your hands on your knees, we start making circles this time with the hips. So the lower part of the body is rotating. And the upper body is responding to this movement, following the direction. Notice if there are any feelings arising to the surface right now. And then reverse the direction of your circles. Intentionally placing your awareness on your spine and your torso. Again, noticing any physical sensation in here. Coming back toward the center, as you inhale, arms reaching up, maybe looking up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, twist toward your right side. A gentle twist, the left hand toward the opposite knee. The spine is nice and straight if possible. The gaze is behind you toward the right shoulder, but nothing too fancy here. And then again, inhaling back toward the center, arms reaching up, maybe looking to the ceiling. Exhaling, counter twisting on the other side. Again, a gentle twist in here. We are just at the beginning of the practice. Taking the time for the body to warm up. Inhaling back toward the center, arms reaching up. Exhale, release your hands in namaste. Place your hands behind you on the floor. Unleash your legs so that the feet are on the floor. And then allow your knees to fall toward the right side. It's okay if you are doing the other side. Sometimes we get confused right and left, especially if you have to look at me and I'm maybe saying right, but you see like I'm doing the left side. So no worries, we do anyway both sides all the time. As we are moving into this figure four position, place the awareness this time on the lower part of your body. Perhaps noticing the hips joint, your legs, the ankles. Then moving all the way up, stay on one side, left or right, allowing yourself a gentle twist in here, rotating your spine. Back toward the center, moving the knees up and down on the other side and twisting on the other side. And back toward the center. Allow your legs to cross. And then from your position, let's place the left foot in front of us, so the right knee is still on the floor. We start making circles as we did before with the hips, so the belly is kind of rotating as well. And then we need a bit of momentum. You might have to use a bit the hands on the floor to lift yourself up. Use the momentum and pivot on the right knee, the one that is on the floor, to help yourself to come up. And then leave your left forearm on your left knee. Extending the right arm toward the ceiling, so you receive a nice stretching on the right side of the torso. This is a side flexion. And as you exhale, release the upper arm down. Let's move a bit with the breath, shall we? Inhaling, arm reaching up, maybe opening the chest and looking up. Exhaling, releasing the upper arm down on the floor. Let's repeat this movement for a few more times so that you get familiar with this type of flexion, and maybe your movement also become a bit more confident and bigger as well. Let's do it one more time. And let's release. We come back on the floor. To come back, just a tip. Now rotate the right foot, the one that is behind you, all the way to the front, and then sit down on the floor. It looks really simple, but it's not, especially if there is a bit of stiffness in the hips. So take your time to allow a bit more movement and a bit more mobility in the hips. Now let's do the other side. So we release the left knee down on the floor and the right foot is in front of us. Let's start making these circles with the hips from the outside toward your right knee. It helps us to cultivate the mobility in the hips, but also to kind of find the momentum to actually lift up. So the next time that you're moving forward with your torso, use that to give more body weight to the front, and especially on the left knee, the one on the floor, and then pivot, rotating the left leg. And you are all the way up. You can release the right forearm on your right knee and then moving into your side flexion. Maybe it will look a bit different from mine. That's totally okay. We are trying to elongate, to stretch the side part of the torso now. And again, we try to link the movement with the breath in a Vinyasa style. So as we exhale and release, we come down, and then as we inhale, we move up, opening with the chest. A couple of times more. And then let's release, coming back on the knees and releasing the forearms down on the floor. If the floor, maybe the mat are too hard, maybe you're not used to that, so you might want to use a blanket, not too thick, but a blanket underneath your forearms, or maybe under your knees, or just covering the whole mat. All right, now we have the forearms on the floor. Let's try to keep them parallel to each other. The hands down on the floor, palms facing the mat. The knees are also on the floor. And we start with a modification of the cat-cow. So as we inhale, we arch the spine, we move the chest forward. The buttocks is also shining up toward the ceiling. Look straight in front of you. And as you exhale, we round the spine. We tilt the pelvis, we look toward the belly button, and then we continue in this way, inhaling, moving forward with the chest, and we go into a sort of back bend in here, cow pose. Exhaling, rounding the spine, gaze toward the belly button, cat position. And one more time, inhaling, cow pose, opening. Exhaling, cat pose. Inhaling back to a neutral position. Extend the right leg behind you and the left arm in front of you. Now, if your balance today is strong, lift up the right foot. Stay here, keep the core engaged. If you are losing the balance, it means that your core is not really engaged. And maybe we just need a bit of time to get the core to work once again and to be a bit more strong. Alright, from this position, let's bend the right knee and we start twisting. We look behind us toward the right foot. And maybe some of you actually have the possibility to reach for the foot as well. Lifting up the right knee. This is already a bit advanced, but sometimes, you are a beginner to yoga, but you're incredibly flexible and mobile. Alright, let's come back toward the center. Releasing down. And stretching back to Balasana, the child pose. Forehead resting on the floor. Buttocks toward the heels, and no worries if they don't touch your heels. The shoulders are relaxed, getting heavier and coming closer to the floor. We take a moment to acknowledge our own breath. To let it flow naturally in and out through the nose. Feel free to exhale through the mouth if you prefer to do so. And then lifting up your head and placing once again your forearms in position, parallel to each other. We do the other side, so we extend the left leg back and the right arm in front of us. Option to lift up the left foot as well, and here trying to balance, engaging the core. Looking down on the floor. Continue to breathe. Option to bend the left knee and twist behind you, so look toward the back foot, maybe grabbing the left foot as well. And then let's release back toward the center. And back to child pose, Balasana. Again, a couple of mindful breaths in here. Coming up on your forearms, one more thing, we pivot on the right knee and we come to this variation of the side plank. We lift ourselves up, releasing the left hand on the left leg. Going into side flexion, option to extend the opposite arm. So we are stretching, elongating the right side of the torso. And back. Right forearm down on the floor, left one, both knees down, pivoting on the left knee, extend the right leg to the back of your mat, lifting yourself up. Right hand flowing down, left arm reaching up, side flexion toward your right. And slowly release. Left forearm down on the floor, right, both knees. From this position, tuck your toes, coming up with your torso. Step your right foot in front of you, then the left one. Inhaling, arms reaching up, maybe looking up, Urdhva. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. And again, inhaling, reaching up, hands up, looking up, Urdhva. Exhaling, fold forward, Uttanasana. One more, inhale, reach up, Urdhva. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhaling, hands on your legs, maybe on the knees, extending the spine super straight. Look down on the floor. Exhale, release the hands toward the floor, bending the knees as you need for this one. And again, inhaling, hands on your knees, extending the spine, looking straight, more body weight to your toes. Exhaling, releasing down. Last time, inhale, hands on your legs, extend the spine. Exhale, fold. We stay here, hooking the opposite elbow and gently swinging side to side. Allow the knees to be slightly bent. Coming back toward the center and rolling up one vertebra at a time and folding the spine. The head is the last thing coming up. And then you find yourself standing into Tadasana mountain pose. Keep your feet hips apart. The spine in a neutral position. Maybe take a moment here just to acknowledge how it is your neutral position in your spine. Maybe, like me, you have the tendency to overarch, so you hold a sort of back bend the whole time. This is also called banana shape. Maybe you have the opposite tendency, so you have a kind of round upper back, so something like that. And just take a moment to acknowledge this tendency, and maybe as you become a bit more aware of this tendency, you can unlearn those type of posture that can be hard on our back. We might develop a bit of pain, and maybe we can learn a healthier standing position. From our Tadasana, we go to a bit of a balancing posture. So we place all the body weight on the right foot. We take the hands in namaste in front of our heart. The left knee reaches up, open with the left hip toward the left. So we use a bit of hip mobility. And then with a slow motion, we step the left foot all the way behind us. And then the toes touch the floor. The heel is up. We bend a bit more the front leg, so we kind of have a 90 degrees angle in here. The arms reaching all the way up. For crescent lunge, you can bend the elbows so that you can really open with the chest. There is a bit of back bend happening in here. And as you inhale, we move all the way forward with the arms parallel to the floor. The body weight on the front leg. We bend the left knee. And we come into this position which is called staff pose. This is really strong on your quads, so maybe you need to bend the knee, or maybe your leg is all the way down here. Fine. Let's come back to the crescent lunge. Inhaling, the left leg reaches behind us, foot on the floor, arms reaching up, bend the elbows. Nice breathing in here. Exhaling, move your arms forward, parallel to the floor, body weight on the right leg, extending maybe the left leg in front of you, elbows bent, exhaling maybe through the mouth. Let's do it 3 times more, a bit faster now. Inhaling, crescent lunge, open the chest. Exhaling, moving forward into staff pose. Inhaling, crescent lunge. Exhaling, staff pose. One more. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, staff pose. Back into Tadasana. Resetting and maybe noticing a difference between the right and the left side of your body. It's okay if you don't feel any difference, of course. Again, we place the hands in namaste, body weight on the left leg. This time we do the other side, right knee reaching up, opening with the right hip, slow motion, placing the right foot on the floor, just the toes on the floor, bending a bit more your front leg, arms reaching up for crescent lunge. Take your time to adjust the balance in here, maybe take a look on the floor, it helps you with the stability. Exhaling, shifting the body weight forward into staff pose. You can flex the foot if you prefer to do so. Inhaling back to crescent lunge, opening with the chest, maybe looking up. Exhaling, staff pose. And again, inhale, crescent lunge. Exhaling, staff pose. And again, inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, staff pose. Last one, inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, staff pose. And back into Tadasana. Resetting, placing your awareness on your feet, noticing how you are placing the body weight on your feet. So maybe taking a time to cultivate the body awareness on your feet, you might discover that you place a bit more body weight either toward your toes, so to the front, or all the way back, so toward the heels, or maybe toward the sides of the feet, whether the outer or the inner edges of your feet. And again, this might help us in our gait. We might discover that we have an unhealthy pattern as we walk that then causes us pain, maybe in the buttocks and maybe in our lower back. From our position, you can keep your feet hips apart. It's a bit easier to keep the balance in this way, or maybe place your feet together. It's okay if the knees don't touch together. And we go into Utkatasana, the chair pose. We start bending the knees. Doesn't have to be an intense squat in here. Arms reaching up. I suggest you to keep your arms parallel to each other instead of placing the hands together, because we tend in this way to create tension in the shoulders. Now from this position, just notice your back. So try to find a comfortable position in your back without overarching or over-rounding. From this position, the arms pass behind us, so semicircle with the arms, and we try to lift up the heels, so more body weight to the toes. Look down on the floor so you avoid to fall all the way forward. Inhaling back with the heels down, back to the chair, arms up. Exhaling, arms passing behind us, we lift up the heels. And again, inhaling, heels down, arms up. Exhale, arms behind us, heels up. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling back to chair. Exhale, release, forward fold. Pass your hands over your head. Maybe interlace your fingers if it's available for you today. Otherwise, keep your hands separated. Just press behind you. So we create a bit of openness in the shoulders, gaze toward your legs. You can always bend the knees as you need. And then slowly release your hands down on the floor. And rolling up. Back to Tadasana. Nice big step to the back of your mat, either right or left, so that you can face the device that you are using to watch the video. Inhaling, arms reaching up, 5-pointed star. Exhale, bend the elbows and bend the knees, feet pointing out to goddess pose. Again, inhaling up. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Last one, inhale up. Exhale, down. Stay. Again, notice your back. Are you overarching? Are you over-rounding? How is your lower back doing in here? The more you squat, the more intense it becomes. If you're tired, lift a bit up. From this position, inhaling up to 5-pointed star. Exhaling, turn your right foot toward the right. Coming into the warrior 2 position, you might have to adjust a bit the back leg and the back foot. Drishti gaze to the front hand. If you like to work a bit more in this position, just separate your feet wider, meaning you need to squat down a bit more. Have a look at your front knee. If it's going in, please do the opposite, so push out. And you should feel a stretch on the inside of your thighs. If your arms get tight for any reason, just release your arms. You can keep your hands in namaste. You work a bit more with your legs. We say 1 more breath. Trikonasana, triangle pose. We extend the front leg, tilting the pelvis back and up, and then releasing the right hand anywhere on the right leg. So maybe just below the right knee, maybe a bit lower down on the ankle, or all the way down to the big toe. You can release your left hand just on your hips, or maybe extending the left arm toward the ceiling. If the neck is bothering you in here, just look down on the floor, otherwise try to look up toward the ceiling. We are trying to open up with the chest, so I suggest you to stay a bit higher up, but still doing this rotation with the chest, elongating the left side of the torso. The chest is opening toward the ceiling. Inhaling, coming up, strong legs, bending the front leg. And then slowly, feet parallel toward each other, arms reaching up for the 5-pointed star. And exhaling, we move into warrior 2 on the other side. So we bend and turn the left knee toward the left, opening maybe with the arms. The front foot is more or less in line with the back arch of the back foot, or maybe the back heel. A little reminder, look at the front knee. If it's going in, try to open. So we are opening the hips with this warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2 position. Couple of breaths more in here, noticing the qualities of your warrior right now. Do you think it's a peaceful warrior? Or maybe it's an angry warrior? For Trikonasana, the triangle pose, we extend the front leg, tilting the pelvis back and up, releasing the left hand anywhere on the left leg, trying to rotate the torso upward toward the ceiling, elongating the right side of the torso. The right hand can absolutely rest on your hip or the buttocks, or maybe extending the right arm toward the ceiling. It's going to be a bit more intense. Maybe looking up or simply look down on the floor. Couple of breaths more. Please don't press down on the front leg, but try to keep your legs engaged and a bit of body weight also on the back leg. All right, inhaling, moving up, strong legs, come back to warrior 2, bending the front leg. Inhaling up, turning the left foot so that they are parallel to each other. Exhaling back to the goddess pose, you need to bend the knees and open the feet toward the side. Inhaling up, exhaling down. One more inhale up, exhale down. Release into a fold, feet parallel to each other, hook the opposite elbow, or simply release the hands toward the floor and swing side to side. Inhaling, moving halfway up and bending the knees. So we go for a twist in here. We bend the knees so the hands are relaxed on our knees. Inhaling here, opening with the chest. Exhaling, twisting toward the right side, gaze up toward the right shoulder. Inhaling back toward the center. Exhaling other side, twisting toward the left. Inhaling back toward the center a couple of times more. Exhaling, twist toward the first side. Inhaling back toward the center. Exhaling, twisting. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Inhale, center. Moving all the way up. Hopping your feet together and coming back to Tadasana. You can step to the very front of your mat if you are not there already. Maybe closing the eyes for a moment or releasing the gaze down on the floor. Placing one hand on your chest and the other one on the belly if it's fine for you. And noticing your own breath in here, following a few of your own inhalations and exhalations. And then slowly opening your eyes if you haven't already. Placing your hands in Namaste for Vikrasana tree pose. Body weight on your right leg, the left knee reaches up, opening toward the left, and then placing the left foot anywhere on the inside of your right leg. Now really try to train your muscles instead of using the hand to lift up your foot. So it's fine if you open and then there is no capacity to actually lift up enough the leg and the foot to place it on the upper leg, and so it ends up somewhere like here. Totally okay. You're still opening the hips and you're using actually your muscles in order to enter the position. And if this is already too advanced for you, you can always place the toes on the floor so you have a bit more support for this balancing posture. Just keep in mind, we try to open the hips in opposite direction. So you give the impulse to your body to do that type of movement. Now, if the balance is so good today, you might want to challenge your balance. And then in that case, open your arms on a V shape. And if it's still easy, you can release the left hand on your left knee, going into a side flexion. Remember to keep the standing leg bent and mobile. Imagine like those trees where there is a lot of wind and they are not really breaking, they are flowing and adjusting so that they don't break. Inhaling back toward the center. Exhaling, releasing all the way down. We go on the other side, body weight on your left leg, right knee reaches up, open, place your right foot anywhere on the inside of your leg. Again, maybe staying here, focusing on your balance, on your breath. There is already a lot to be mindful in this position, but if you like to challenge yourself, then open your arms and maybe place the right hand on the right knee for a side flexion. If you lose the balance, like me, don't make any show out of it, maybe try again. Back toward the center, hands in namaste, back to Tadasana. Couple of balancing posture, more. Eagle pose, Garudasana, body weight again on the first leg, the right one. The left knee reaches up, but this time we're going to place the left knee on top of the right one. And maybe we stay here, we can also place the foot down on the floor, or maybe you can interlace the foot on your calf. You need to bend a bit the knees in here in order to do so. The adductors are working in here, we are stretching the outside of the hips. If you like to work a bit more with the shoulders, then place your right elbow on top of the left one and interlace your hands together. And then moving up, releasing, maybe shake your legs in here. Notice if there is a bit of fire sensation on the legs. Let's go on the other side, body weight on the left leg, the right knee on top of the left one. Stay or maybe interlace the foot on your calf. You can say with your hands in namaste or left elbow on top of the right one, hands interlaced. One more breath here in eagle pose. And let's open. From your position, come to the front of the mat, placing the body weight on the right leg, inhaling, arms reaching up. Shift your body weight forward, arms parallel to each other, the left leg reaches up any amount for Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Inhaling deeply here, exhaling. Inhale, exhale. One more, inhale, exhale. Inhale, move up with your torso, hands in namaste, left knee in front of you, the left ankle on top of the right knee, slightly bending in here for flamingo pose. Inhaling deeply, exhaling, sit a bit more. Inhaling, moving up, back to Tadasana, other side. Body weight on the left leg, inhaling, arms reaching up. Exhaling, moving the torso forward for Warrior 3. The right leg is behind you. Lift it up any amount. 1, 2, and 3. Inhaling, moving up, hands in namaste, the right knee in front of you. Flamingo pose, right ankle on top of the left knee. As you exhale, maybe squatting down. Inhaling, exhaling, maybe squatting a bit more. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, Tadasana. Inhale, arms reaching up. Exhaling, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhaling, hands on your knees. Exhale, release the hands down on the floor and step the left knee all the way down on the floor. Low lunge. Inhale, arms reaching up. Exhale, open and twist away your right side, opening your arms on a T shape. Inhaling back toward the center, arms reaching up, maybe looking up. Exhaling, counter twisting on the other side. Let's repeat. Inhale, arms reaching up, looking up. Exhaling, twisting on the first side. Inhaling back toward the center, arms up. Exhaling, counter twisting. Inhale back toward the center. Hands down on the floor, extending the front leg. You might need to slide the right foot in front of you. Fold forward in here, just a couple of breaths. Releasing the back, the head also is heavy, looking toward your back knee. Inhaling, moving up. Nice semicircle to step your knees down on the floor, hands on your lower back, fingers facing outside. Your toes are on the floor. As you inhale, move your hips forward, opening with your chest. Exhale, drop the head back if it's fine for you for this variation of Ustrasana, camel pose. 1, 2, and 3. Inhale, chin toward your chest. Release your hands in front of you for child pose. Extend the child pose this time. So your arms are in front of you, the palms are on the floor. Coming back to your breath. Perhaps noticing a sound, the sound of your breath resonating between you and the mat beneath. And then inhaling, moving up. And stepping the left foot in between the hands this time for low lunge on the other side. Inhaling, arms reaching up, maybe looking toward the ceiling. Exhaling, twisting and opening toward your left side. Inhale, back toward the center, arms reaching up. Exhaling, counter twisting toward your right side. Inhale, back toward the center. We repeat a couple of times more. Exhaling, twisting toward the first side. We need to balance a bit here. Inhaling back toward the center. Last time, exhaling, counter twisting. Inhaling back toward the center. Exhaling, hands on the floor, extend the front leg, adjusting the position for this half split position. Folding forward any amount, rounding the spine if needed. Don't sit all the way back to your heel. Let's come up with the torso, semicircle with the left leg. Coming back to camel pose, Ustrasana for a second round. Tucking the toes, hands on your lower back. Inhaling, hips forward, open the chest. Exhale, drop the head back for 1, 2, 3. Inhale, chin toward your chest. Release the ankles and the toes down on the floor. We come to extend the child pose. Just for a moment because we go into side flexion. So we move the hands toward the left. When you reach your limit, place your right hand on top of the left one, keeping the forehead toward the floor, maybe in contact with the floor, and the buttocks toward the heels or sitting on the heels. Notice how it is at the right side of your torso. Maybe you feel like an elongation, almost like it's getting longer than the other side of your torso. Move your hands back toward the center and then all the way toward the right. When you reach your limit, left hand on top of the right one. So we do the other side. Again, noticing the sides of your torso. Then move back toward the center with your hands. Release the forearms down on the floor and then extend one leg at a time. Release the forehead down on the floor and place your hands with the forearms down on the floor. Place your feet down on the floor, pressing down on the floor. Pelvic bone, pressing down on the floor. And as you inhale, moving up into Sphinx pose, looking straight or up. Exhaling, twisting your cervical spine toward the left. Inhaling back toward the center, looking up. Exhaling, twisting the cervical spine toward the right. Inhaling back toward the center. Exhaling, chin toward your chest, releasing the forehead down on the floor. Release the hips, maybe swing your hips right and left. And then extend your arms in front of you, still with the feet pressing down on the floor, the pubic bone pressing down on the floor. Inhaling, moving up with the forehead, with the feet, pubic bone still in contact with the floor. Option to lift up the arms as well into this variation of Salambhasana locust pose. Inhaling here, exhaling. One more, inhale. Exhale, release everything down. Again, maybe swinging the hips right and left. From this position, extend the left arm to the side, so toward the left hand is down on the floor. And then for a shoulder standing, shift your body weight to the left side. The right foot is behind you on the floor. You can use the right hand down on the floor as a support. Finding your own stretching here, it's really individual, so maybe the position doesn't really look like mine, but as long as you feel a stretching and elongation on the left shoulder, then it's fine. Let's come back toward the center, and we do the other side. Extending the right arm toward the right palm is on the floor. You come to the right side of your body, and the left foot is behind you as a support. Almost done. And then slowly coming back toward the center. Gently pressing up and sitting down on your buttocks. You can face the front of the mat if you prefer, or face the long side of your mat. We come into seated Ekapadasana, seated pigeon pose. So we place the feet down on the floor in front of us, buttocks down on the floor. The right ankle on top of the left knee. You might have to distantiate the legs. Then release the forearms down on the floor behind you. Try to not collapse into your shoulders, so there is a bit of space between the ears and the shoulders. Imagine that you want to have a long neck in here. And then here we want to stretch the hip. So you might have to move the left foot closer to your buttocks and also to adjust the angle of the right knee. So instead of bending the right knee closer to your chest, you open toward the side if you want a more intense stretch happening in here. It becomes a bit more intense if you come up on your hands, but just keep in mind that I don't know what's your problem with your wrists, so you might feel pain in this position. So that's why I started with the forearms down on the floor. So maybe check the other option as well if it works for you today with the wrist pain. And then from this position, we release the right foot down on the floor, coming up with your torso so that we can twist toward the right side. Again, don't get to focus on the side because we do both anyway. Instead, I would like you to focus on the twist itself. So try to really extend the spine, so keeping it straight instead of rounding. You notice because you will notice if you're sinking back, kind of really sitting profoundly into the posture. Instead, try to engage the core, lengthening the spine. The crown of the head is reaching up toward the ceiling, so the chest is coming closer also to the bent knee, the upper one. And then you start rotating from the mid spine any amount at all, so it can be 2 centimeters toward the side of your twist. Try not to compensate too much with the cervical spine because it's really mobile, so it's actually quite easy that you do a small twist rotation with the middle spine, but with the neck you go all the way looking over the back shoulder. It's not really necessary, so instead focus on twisting on the mid spine, and then the cervical spine is kind of following that direction. Alright, let's come back toward the center, counter twist on the other side. Same thing, let's try to notice the posture that we're keeping in here. Try to have both sit bones on the floor. You might have the tendency to lean more toward one side. And back toward the center. Release your legs, both feet down on the floor. We do the Ekapadasana pigeon pose variation on the other side. So maybe coming down on your forearms and placing the left ankle on top of the right knee. Adjusting the position here so that it suits you best today. Maybe a bit more intense stretching here. Placing the right foot closer to the buttocks, the left knee opening a bit more outside. Maybe even coming up on your hands if the wrists are okay with this type of movement. Couple of more breaths in here, and again a gentle reminder to notice if you are sinking in your shoulders. We prepare to twist on the other side for Ardha Matsyendrasana, releasing the left foot down on the floor, coming up with the torso, and then twisting toward the left. Noticing all the things that you now know about twisting. And then slowly release, come back toward the center and counter twist on the other side. And back toward the center. Let's go to Navasana, boat pose. Now this is a core activation pose, so maybe this position is a bit too intense. Therefore, try hands on or just fingertips down on the floor, buttocks on the floor, the knees try to come closer to your chest, so you need to have a kind of hollow situation in here. Or maybe it's not enough and you might need to place also the toes on the floor, but you still have this kind of boat shape, right? So the hollow shape, so your core is still working. Think about the belly button coming closer to the spine and engaging the core so that you are, imagine that you want to protect yourself from someone who is trying to reach for your belly, maybe to tickle you or something else. Alright, from this position, maybe it's with the feet and the hands up on the floor. Let's release the feet down on the floor, hugging ourselves. And then again, inhaling, opening with the chest, the arms opening, maybe feet up, Navasana. Exhaling, toes on the floor, hugging your knees. Two more. Inhaling, open, Navasana, boat pose. Exhale, toes on the floor, hug yourself. Last one, inhale, open. Exhale, release, and give yourself a nice hug. Maybe finding a moment to cultivate gratitude toward your body and what it can do for you. And then hands in front of you, allowing yourself to lie down on your back. Feet pressing down on the floor, the knees are separated, the hips is apart and parallel to each other. Hands down on the floor, inhaling, reaching up with the buttocks, the legs are engaged in the rotation of your knees, don't open. Lower back up, upper back, middle back, arms reaching over the head. Deep breath in here. Bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. Exhale, release the arms down and start unfolding the spine one vertebra at a time, all the way down on the mat so that the buttocks also touch the floor. And then again, inhaling, moving up into bridge pose, the arms also moving over the head. Exhaling, releasing down. Keep the chin slightly toward your chest, so we avoid to overarch the cervical spine. And last time, inhaling, slow down the movement, really trying to recognize what is happening in your body, feeling the body. And then slowly releasing all the way down. Hugging the knees to your chest. Making small circles on the floor, moving your hips in a circular movement in both directions. Coming into happy baby, bending the knees, separating the feet. So we open a bit the hips in this position. You can keep your hands just behind your knees, or maybe some of you can go all the way up to the ankles, on the outside of the ankles, or the outside of the feet. Again, careful with the cervical spine. Sometimes we overarch and we almost look behind us while we try to keep the chin slightly more closer to the chest, so we look straight up toward the ceiling. You can stay in stillness, or if you prefer, you can rock side to side a couple of times. No worries if you fall on one side. You just roll back to the center. It's actually pretty fun. Sometimes I do it on purpose. And then let's close the knees together, placing the hands underneath the knees so that we can rock back and forward, finding the momentum to rock all the way forward, coming back to sit. If it's not available for you, this type of movement, just roll toward one side, curl, and then move up. From this position, we extend the legs for Paschimottanasana, the seated forward fold. I suggest you to start with the knees slightly bent, or even definitely bent. And notice here the hips mobility, because we want to do this forward fold starting from the hips so that we avoid to do this. So this is not really forward fold. We try to reach all the way forward, elongating our arms and rounding a lot our upper back and reaching from the shoulders basically, while we try to mobilize the hips instead. So I suggest you to start with the knees bent, then getting familiar with this type of tilting happening in the spine. It's way more complicated than that, because it's the tilting, but it's also core engagement. The spine is in a neutral position, slightly extending, and then we also move forward. But let's start just trying to mobilize a bit the hips, and maybe it's awkward and maybe it's not really happening, everything is pretty stuck. That's okay, I've been there. So we need a bit more time and patience. One thing that you can do is also to place a support. Now I'm using the block, but it's not really the best choice, I have to admit. You might want to use a bolster or a pillow. And it helps you because in this way your hips are more able to do this kind of movement, and also they should be above your knees level. Another thing that you can do is place your hands or the fingertips behind you and help yourself in this type of forward fold direction. From your position, you can allow yourself to relax in this Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. If you don't need your hands behind you, you can place them in front of you. Maybe some of you already have a bit more mobility developed in the body. And in that case, you might reach for your ankles or even for your feet. You can decide if you like to focus more into extending the back of the legs. In that case, you extend the legs, still keeping the kneecap mobile. Or maybe bending a bit more the knees and focusing instead in extending the spine. So keeping the spine straight and the belly coming closer to the upper thighs. Soft relaxed gaze in between your legs. Notice if you're creating any tension in the shoulders or maybe in the chest, the pectoralis areas, especially for those who are keeping the position a bit more active, grabbing the outside of the legs. Take a couple of more breaths in here in silence. And then slowly moving the head and the chest up. Right knee moving up, opening toward the right for Janu Shirshasana. And then folding forward. The same principles that we just shared apply with this type of forward fold. You might want to stay a bit more on your right side or slightly twist more toward the left foot. A couple of more breaths in here, noticing the breath. Inhaling, moving up. Exhaling, releasing, and placing the left knee toward the torso, opening so that we can do the position on the other side, Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, move up. For Baddha Konasana, we place the feet together, the knees are opening toward the sides, any amount. Place your hands on your feet. Inhaling here, exhaling, moving forward, any amount, rounding the spine, gaze toward your belly button. Few breaths in here, we are slowing down our practice into a more kind of yin situation. And then slowly as you inhale, move up with your head and your chest, closing your knees. You can decide how you want to lie down on your back, maybe just curling toward one side or maybe a bit more activation on your core. Hollow in and then going all the way down on your back. Keep your feet down on the floor, the knees are bent, and then place your right knee toward your chest, interlacing your fingers on top of the right knee. Careful with the cervical spine, again, chin toward your chest. You can decide the intensity here, maybe pulling the right knee a bit more toward the chest. You can also extend the right leg, any amount, interlacing the fingers underneath the right knee or maybe even higher up, depending, again, it's really individual. So in this case, you are stretching a bit more the back muscles. Few more breaths in here. You can fully extend also the other leg on the floor, just a bit more intense, and sometimes it creates an imbalance in between the hips and we might tend to fall toward one side. And let's release and change in the side, so the left knee toward the torso, stretching here, maybe extending the leg if you prefer to stretch the back muscles. Again, option to extend the opposite leg. Then bending both knees toward your chest, opening the arms on a T shape, palms facing the ceiling. For a final twist, release your knees toward the left side and you twist toward the right, gaze toward the right hand, although you might decide to close your eyes in here. Aware of your own breath. Slowly knees up toward the center and then release the knees on the other side, so toward the right, and you twist toward the left. If your knees are not really falling both toward the floor, you can always use the hand on top of them and gently press down. And just remember that one side is different from the other. So for me, for instance, this side is a bit more stiff and it doesn't really twist like the other side. And then release, come back toward the center, extend both legs toward the ceiling and give a nice shake here to your legs. If it's okay for your wrist, shake your wrist as well. Your hands are facing the ceiling. Maybe exhaling through the mouth, tongue out for the lion breath 3 times. Inhaling, exhaling, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Coming back to your regular breath, slowing down the shake. And then releasing the feet down on the floor, opening one knee at a time toward the side and then sliding the legs. Coming into Shavasana, corpse pose. Lying down on the floor, the feet falling toward the sides. Shoulders relax toward the floor. You can also open your arms and allow the hands to be supported by the ground, or maybe you can place your hands on your belly. If Shavasana is not the posture for you, you don't feel like you want to practice this asana for the final relaxation, curl toward one side and come up to sit into a sitting meditation posture. Again, you can sit directly on the mat or maybe on a support, a block or a cushion. Keeping the eyes closed or a soft gaze on the floor in front of you. Placing once more your awareness on those areas of your body that are in contact with the ground beneath. The feet, the legs and the sit bones for those who are sitting. The back, the arms, and the back of the head for those lying down into Shavasana. Perhaps you can physically feel the support that comes from the ground. Maybe even visualizing fresh green roots growing from those areas and eradicating yourself in the present moment. And absorbing at the same time the energies that flows from the ground, from Mother Earth. I'm gonna chant the Gayatri mantra, the mantra of the earth. If you know the mantra, you might want to join me. Om Bhurбhuvah Svaha Tatsaviturvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurбhuvah Svaha Tatsaviturvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurбhuvah Svaha Tatsaviturvareniyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Earth, fire, water, air, ether. We meditate on the 5 elements originated by Mother Earth, the source of everything. May it help and guide our thoughts, hearts, and actions. If you are lying down in Shavasana with a mindful transition, come to sit. Once you are seated, join your palms in Namaste in front of your heart center. And as we started the practice, we end our Vinyasa class bowing in front of ourselves as a gesture of respect. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste. I wish you well. See you next time. Ciao.